right now, Senator, and we should be all set.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Today we are doing the Senate committee, looking at House bills and hopefully executing all of them. Welcome. I am Senator Ruth Ward from Senate District 8. Today we will be holding a meeting of the Senate Education Committee. Before we get started, I'll read through the checklist to ensure that the meeting that we're holding is in compliance with the Right to Know law. As chair of the Education Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04 and its extensions, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. In accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possible by video and other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected legislative staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously in this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously watch and or listen to the meeting on Zoom or YouTube and via phone by following the directions and links provided on the General Court website. We have provided public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting in the Senate calendar. We are providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please email remotesenate, one word, at leg.state.nh.us or call 603-271-6931. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be by roll call vote. Finally, let's start this meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state where they are and if anyone else is in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under the Right to Know law. I will call the roll. Senator Hennessy.
Good morning, Erin Hennessy from Littleton. I'm in my office in the State House, and there will be others popping in and out, and currently one other person in the office with me.
Senator Ricciardi.
Good morning, Denise Ricciardi in our home in Bedford. I'm alone in the room, but my husband is in the house.
Senator Khan.
Good morning. At home in Keene, my wife is elsewhere in the house.
Senator Prentice.
Senator Prentice is at home in West Lebanon, New Hampshire. I'm alone in this room. My husband and Trustee Doug Mays are in the house.
And the chair, Ruth Ward, I am in my home in Stoddard, and I am alone in this room. Good. Let's have a motion to go into executive session.
Senator Ward, before we go into executive session, I neglected, forgive me, to tell you that I have to jump off to to introduce a bill over in House Transportation. So I'll be getting a text message when they're ready for me. So I'll be jumping over to that. I don't know what time it'll be, but I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Do you know roughly what time you will be gone?
Well, it's a 5-part omnibus, so it could be anytime, maybe 9:30.
Okay. We'll just hopefully that you won't, we'll wait and see if we can wait for you to come back before we exec any bills.
Okay. Thank you.
So we have a motion to go into executive session. I think I saw Senator Hennessy and Senator Prentice. And Senator Ricciardi to go into executive session. Senator Hennessy?
Yes.
Senator Khan?
Yes.
Senator Prentice?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So we are now in executive session. I'm going to go in numerical order. So can we start with House Bill 140? Do I have a motion for 140? This is the private right of action for bullying and cyberbullying. And we do have an amendment that I will take up after we have a motion on the bill.
I'll make the motion, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I
What
make
is-
the motion ought to pass.
ought to pass by Senator Rishardi. Do I have a second? Senator Hennessy votes a second. Okay. Now we have an amendment to Senate Bill 140.
Yes, ma'am.
Senator Khan,
Yes,
um,
Madam Chair. Thank
do
you.
you want to read your amendment or would you like me to do it?
Well, I'd like to introduce amendment number 1355S. And be glad to explain it if I get a second.
Do you all have that amendment so you can look at it? Okay, good.
I need a second before I speak to that.
Senator Prentice?
Thank you. Madam Chair, if I can address the amendment, we've heard from two of the primary advocates for this bill. This bill addresses the bullying statute under our education statutes. The paragraph that is and section that's being added tries to take into account when the follow-up to an investigation of bullying is insufficient. The terminology used in the original bill refers to gross negligence and willful misconduct. And in the amendment, there is an addition proposed by the proponents for the bill. For the purpose of this chapter, gross negligence means deliberate indifference. And I think that they have done something that moves me to support the bill. This wording seems to navigate between the two different sides, both from the school administration side and from the advocate side, to accommodate a stronger definition. And just to describe the strength of this definition, the case that is so much in our presence of George Floyd, as the Federal Department of Justice took action this last weekend relative to the rights violations by officers. The charge from the U.S. Department of Justice was deliberate indifference. And I think it raises the bar and adds the definition, the clarity that gross negligence does not convey. So I hope that with this wording, we can get closer to unanimity on this bill, and that's my reason for bringing it forward.
Thank you very much, Senator Khan. I had a word from the sponsor of the bill and he agrees with you. So that's good.
He wrote me as well. Thank you.
Okay, good. So any other discussion on the amendment? Are we ready to vote? We have an ought to pass on the amendment. Senator Prentice? You're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Khan?
Yes.
Senator Hennessy?
Yes.
Senator Rishardi?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so that's 5-0 for the amendment. Now we have to take a look at the underlying bill with the amendment.
Mhm.
And earlier we haven't had an ought to pass on the bill. And now we have an amendment that we have passed. To have a vote on ought to pass with amendment on House Bill 140. Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So that's 5-0. Do you want to put that on consent? Senator Prentice and Senator Hennessy. Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. That's 5-0. Who wants to take it out? Senator Khan? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to confirm Senator Khan is taking it out. I saw Senator Prentice's hand raised.
Khan, continue.
Senator Khan is taking it out.
Perfect.
The next bill will be 278. And that is the bill that makes unused school district facilities available to chartered public schools. Do we have a motion on the bill? Senator Hennessy?
Madam Chair, I'll move ought to pass, and I believe Senator Khan and Prentice have an amendment.
Yes, we do. Do I have a second for ought to pass? Rishardi? So we have amendment 1379. Do you all have the amendment? Have you had a chance to look at it? Do we have a motion for the amendment? Senator Carr, you raised your hand.
I'd like to move amendment 1379S.
Do we have a second? Senator Prentice. Any discussion on the amendment?
Senator Prentice wants to address that first.
You want to speak to it, Senator Prentice?
I'd be happy to. I think the cleanest way to do this is to eliminate the number of 10% and focus this on the empty and unused facilities that need to, that really should be the first ones up to be occupied. I just think that this is a clean way to manage this. And so I can support this amendment by taking the 10% out and just going for empty unused facilities.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you. Anybody else? Senator Hennessy?
Thank you. I just have a question on part 1. Sorry, hold on just one second.
Sure. You pull it up.
Sorry, there's 2 of us in here, so I was hearing myself twice. In part 1, the unused facility, what my concern is that, as a taxpayer, my concern is that if a district had an unused facility that didn't have anything to do with administrative use or scholastic or co-curricular, but was used to store some old desks or used to store janitorial supplies or something like that. And again, as a taxpayer, I would consider that facility unused, but it doesn't really define what unused is. Is there a way that we can make that definition a little bit clearer?
Senator Prentice?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Senator Hennessy, when you say a little bit clearer, in just giving the example that you gave, is the unused facility one that is, say, set up or prepared to be turned, like, in my mind, an unused facility is, an older empty school, or a building that could be, is prepared to be occupied without a lot of, say, renovation, which would also cost the taxpayers. I mean, that's, part of the discussion. So, so are we trying to, and are we trying to distinguish between like a shed and a building? Like what, I'm not very a wise guy. I'm like, what would help you get there? I mean, to me, and again, I just keep harking back to local experience I've had. So how do we define that? Because the 10% is just, I found that, I'm like, let's go for empty buildings. And I'm not just thinking empty buildings that are on school property. They could be, well, we are talking about school property here, but yeah, this is, okay, I'm done. Empty buildings.
Senator Hennessy?
So I remember you had a story, Senator Prentice, about a school in your district that was turned into housing and commercial, and which I think is fabulous, by the way. But so in the previous version of the bill, it said, ignoring the 10%, it said for direct student instruction. So I guess that's what I have concern with. So in my district, we have an old school that the school district does use. I'm not quite sure if they currently use it for direct school instruction, but I know that they have plans for it where it's used for co-curricular activities, and I believe Parks and Rec uses it in the summertime. And so I know that they have a plan for it, but I have a issue with the vague unused facility definition, because what does unused mean?
Senator Khan?
Owned by a school district.
I think, Senator, if hearing your concern,
Yeah.
rather than trying to continue to work on the definition of the unused, perhaps we could work on the definition of empty. So that empty is either completely or used solely for storage. Would that help? The problem, I think, became how do you define unused or used by, for a small percent? And there's so many different definitions for that. It is just, but empty means it's either empty or it's used exclusively for storage. Then I think we all are agreeing that there are better other facilities where storage could be found.
Madam Chair.
Senator Hennessy?
Senator Khan, thank you. I agree. Perhaps it is empty that needs to be defined. And do you have a proposed definition where we could make a committee amendment to that word?
Yeah. Parenthetically, completely or used exclusively for storage. Ava, you with us?
I am, Senator. What was the question?
Well, if we define empty parenthetically by saying either completely empty or used exclusively for storage, close parentheses. Do you have that? Can you record that for us?
I definitely can in our committee amendment. That can be, is that what we'd like to do?
I think that's where we're heading, at least to
Yeah.
consider that for the
Could you
time.
repeat that one more time for me so I can just jot it down?
Yeah, on line 4 is empty, and then parentheses, either completely empty or used exclusively for storage. Close parentheses.
Okay. So just to confirm, we'd be adding that.
Yes.
Okay.
Any discussion on that change? Senator Hennessy, are you okay with that? She says yes. So we'll make that a committee amendment.
So we'll adopt all that's in the amendment before us,
Mhm,
which is 1379S, and then adding that parentheses.
yes.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the amendment? I have an ought to pass motion with a second on it. Are you ready to vote on the amendment? Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes,
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Shardy,
Yes,
and the chair votes yes. So we have approved the amendment. Now we have the underlying bill. And we have an ought to pass motion on the underlying bill. Any discussion on it? Seeing none, are you ready to vote?
Well, Madam Chair.
Yeah, we have an ought to pass. Senator Hennessy,
Move out to pass as amended.
amendment. Second on that one? Senator Shardy. Okay, Senator Prentice. Ought to pass with amendment?
Pass with amendment. Yes.
Senator Shardy,
yes,
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan.
yes,
That's 5-0. Do you want to put that on consent?
no,
You like to talk to it?
no.
Madam Chair, I just want to confirm, you did vote on the ought to pass as amended,
Yes,
correct?
I said the chair votes yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I just think you and I have heard this bill couple of times. I think it, I think, one, there might be some reaction to the vote that we ought to listen to, and then I think our fellow senators ought to have an opportunity to weigh in on this.
Okay. So we will not put it on consent. We'll just vote 5-0 and put it in the regular calendar then. Okay,
Who wants to take
Uh,
that out?
yeah, that was my next question. Who is going to take it out? Senator Hennessy wants to take it out? Okay. You're right, we have discussed this bill quite a few times. The next bill we have is House Bill 321. We had it as a re-refer last week, and in the meantime, Senator Hennessy called and wanted to rescind that vote and work on an amendment so that the bill could get out this session. So Ava, we need a vote to take off the re-refer.
Yep, I need someone to motion to reconsider in a second, and then we'll need to do a roll call.
Okay. So are you willing to reconsider this earlier motion, Senator Hennessy?
Madam Chair, I move reconsider on HB 321.
Do I have a second? Senator Khan? And the roll call, Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Shardy,
yes,
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes,
and the chair votes yes. So what is the new motion? Senator Hennessy?
Madam Chair, I move ought to pass, and I have an amendment I would like to speak to.
Okay. We have a motion of ought to pass on the bill. Do we have a second? Senator Rishardi. Okay, Senator Hennessy, you may present your amendment.
Thank you. The amendment number is 1382S. And I'd like to thank Senator Khan for working on this with me, and Diana Fenton at the department, and the sponsor of the bill, Representative Moffett. And I believe we were able to get everyone to agree on this amendment, which is exciting news.
That is
And
good.
what it does is just puts into writing what the department had agreed to in our last meeting after we had already taken up the re-refer motion. And that is that they will develop what in my mind would be a simple form that each school district would have to complete for their gifted and talented student programs, and submit it to the department. The department will either scan it in or just save it as it was submitted into a shared drive, which is accessible on their internet. So other schools can look and see what other schools are doing. And also that the department will look at the format for this standardized form each year, just to make sure that it is appropriate for the information that's collected. And they will make
Thank
any
you.
changes if necessary.
Any discussion on the amendment? Senator Khan?
First, I'd like to thank Senator Hennessy for work on this. I think she took into account several perspectives and molded that into this amendment. So it's good work. I do want to ask about on line 7, the word athletic, and wonder if because we are saying potential according to assessments selected and administered locally, I can envision academic and artistic assessments that take place. I'm not sure that I can envision what the athletic assessments are. So that's my only remaining. I mean, I'll be supportive of the amendment because I think it addresses the concerns that we raised in the committee. I just wonder if there are those kind of athletic assessments, and then high achieving programs designed around athletic talent that school districts offer.
Does anybody want to address that?
Senator Hennessy, I don't want to put you on the spot there, but those words, we didn't have that kind of specificity. I know we came out of our testimony. I wonder what your feeling is about it.
So I guess I just read over that as being the tests that are done on an annual or every few year basis that would identify academic or assessments would identify gifted and talented students' academic talents, artistic and athletic. My students, my children, both have to take a PE requirement course. And artistic, they don't have to, but they have. And I know they have assessments in there. I guess assessments is very broad, and I'm not sure if it's identified anywhere in the statutes and defined. But I'm not getting too hung up on that. Does anyone have thoughts on those words?
I just looked at those words were in the original bill. Academic, artistic, and athletic potential according to assessments selected. So you probably just took it off on the bill and then added, what do we do with it? When I think of athletic, I think of somebody who is a potential, I don't know, football player or a great basketball player or a mild runner or anything like that. And I don't know what the assessments will be for that. So. Any other thoughts?
It seems like the program would be the NHAIA or AIA, whatever the Interscholastic Athletics Association is, I guess NHIAA, that they participate in those activities, which I think would cover about every school district. I don't, you see where I'm stumbling. I don't know if it has enough. Anyway, if it was in the original bill.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Senator Hennessy.
I don't have a concern with the wording, and because it does not require the localities to perform any specific assessment or even perform an assessment. So if they're not assessing for gifted and talented athletes or gifted and talented artistic students or academic students, they'll just put that on the form. But there are plenty of assessments that my children have taken, which if they were gifted or talented would have identified their academic skills in their athletic skills, either in the sports that they've been doing or in their PE classes, or their artistic skills in their elective classes they've taken.
So you feel we're not mandating them to cover all of these things. If one kid is just absolutely fabulous, it will be noted and will be put in on the form.
Yeah. And again, we'll see what the forms, what input is put into the forms, and we can reassess if needed.
Yeah.
And it won't be on a per student basis because we wouldn't want to disclose or reveal things about individual students, but we would, were they to have a program that any student who reaches a qualification level qualified, then they would list those programs.
Yep. So are you okay with the amendment as it stands? Okay, we have an ought to pass motion on the amendment. Are you ready to vote on the amendment? Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So we have a 5-0 on the amendment. Now we go to the underlying bill, House Bill 321. So now they ought to pass with amendment. Senator Hennessy,
We ought to pass as amended.
the second. Senator Khan. Any discussion on it? And seeing none, let's do the voting. Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. That's 5-0. Senator Prentice?
Madam Chair, I apologize, but I wanted to make a motion to reconsider House Bill 278's vote.
278.
Yep, the unused district facilities by charter public schools.
Could we finish 321 first?
Sure, I'm worried about my transportation bill. I'm listening to that over here, so
Okay,
that's all. No, finish this. You're right. Sorry, I'm out of order. Sorry.
so we're voting. Is there a motion to put this bill on consent, or do you want to discuss that in the Senate?
I'll move consent.
Second.
Move consent. Second,
Senator Hennessy seconded.
the what, Ava?
I'm sorry, Senator Hennessy seconded.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear her. Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So that's 5-0 for consent. Who wants to take it out? Senator Prentice? Okay, Senator Prentice has asked that we take a look at, go back to 278. Is that okay, Ava?
I'll move reconsideration.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to reconsider. Senator Khan,
Move to
Yeah.
reconsider.
I'm just taking
Yeah.
the vote.
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Did you want to, Senator Prentice?
So my concern here is that I think that the amendments that we've made to the bill make it better, but I still want the locals to have the primary choice. So I'm struggling with, I guess I'll make a motion inexpedient to legislate.
We're going to need a second.
Yep. Who is the second? Senator Khan is the second.
Like,
Now we need to, any discussion on the ITL? Senator Prentice, you're concerned about no lack of
I'm just giving the,
community input?
Senator Ward, this is consistent with my position on the Senate bill that was just like this that we voted on a while back, that it should be the locals, the local communities that have the ultimate say in how their buildings are used and disposed of from a school board to a city council. So even though I think the amendment made the bill better, I just wanted to take a stand on that. And so I was wrong in my previous vote. I should have voted no on the underlying bill. That's all.
Okay. Do you see in the amendment here any way that we could add local input?
Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. So we're currently on an ITL motion, so we can't even consider any amendments until this motion passes or is adopted.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you, Ava.
We need to get through this, and then if it fails, then we would need someone to propose a different motion, and then we can get into amendments.
Okay, thank you. So we have an ITL motion with a motion and a second. Let's take a vote on the ITL motion. Senator Hennessy,
No.
Senator Rishardi,
No.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
and the chair votes no. So that's 3-2. And what can we do now?
We need a new
Another.
motion.
Move on to pass, Madam Chair.
So we have another motion on to pass. Do we have a second for that?
Second, Madam Chair.
Senator Rishardi, Senator Khan,
This is the ought to pass with amendment motion, right?
Well, no, so we have to start the process over since we reconsidered the whole process. So we have an OTP, a first and a second. Somebody needs to move the amendment, which I have to find in my stack of papers here. Amendment 1379S, which is in your name and
Yeah.
Senator Prentice's name.
I moved to, I wish to, Madam Chair, if I could, I wish to offer amendment 1379S.
thank you. Do you want to speak to the amendment?
Again, I'll say that I'd like to add a parenthetical comment after the word empty on line 4 that defines empty as either completely empty or used exclusively for storage.
Okay, that will be a committee amendment.
Yes.
Any other amendments? Senator Prentice, do you have something you want to add to it?
No, I don't. I agree with Senator Khan's amendment and the previous language. We're good. Thank you.
Okay. So are we ready to vote on this
Yeah, ma'am.
amendment? 1379. I have do I have a motion and a second on this one?
You do, Madam Chair. You
You.
have a motion. You do.
And a second.
ready for the
Okay,
roll.
So now we vote to it. Senator Hennessy on the amendment.
You're muted, Senator.
Yes.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So we have 5-0 on the ought to pass on the amendment. Now we go back to the bill. It now has an ought to pass with amendment.
Madam Chair, Senator Hennessy has her hand raised.
Senator Hennessy,
I move ought to pass as amended, Madam Chair.
do we have a second? Senator Rishardi. Any discussion? Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
No.
Senator Rishardi,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So that's 4-1. Who wants to take it out? Senator Hennessy will take it out. You got all of that, Ava?
I think so.
All the changes?
I think I got it.
Okay, good.
Senator
That
Ward,
that leaves us, yes, Senator Prentice?
and I just wanted to thank all my colleagues for their opportunity to let me to have that bill reconsidered. I know we had to go back and do it all over again, but I appreciate your consideration of my request. Thank you.
It's a team. Now we have one more bill. One that we have waited for. That's House Bill 349.
I move ought to pass.
Senator Carr moves ought to pass. And the second? Senator Hennessy. Now I can introduce the amendment. So it has taken quite a while and several trips or phone calls with the OLS, but I think we finally have it. And have you had a chance to take a look at it? It's one major difference that wasn't in it before. And that is in Roman numeral 2, little a in parentheses. No requirement for registered nurse to hold a bachelor degree level or higher shall apply to school nurses who was employed before August 25, 2019. That's the major change in the bill. Do I have a motion on the amendment?
I'll move amendment 1365S.
You move, Senator Prentice,
Seconded.
second it, okay. Any discussion on it?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to address just one thing. It's a concern about it because this is replacing the entire section of RSA 200:29,
Right,
which had a section in there about the Department of Education employing a nurse on staff to provide guidance to school nurse programs and staff. And I see that's being repealed by this section.
right.
That concerns me, particularly in light of this last year, where guidance was left to local districts over much of the year. I think school nurses struggled at the beginning of the year to have standardized protocols. I think the role of the school nurse, as you're so taking into account with the amendment here, is getting more complicated, and that guidance seems that it would be valuable if we're going to have nursing programs in 500 different buildings and 178 different school districts. So I think that's my regret here, is that we've repealed the entire section of the bill. And maybe you have some insight to offer to us, but it's what I think you've made a good accommodation on the requirement for the school nurses, but I don't understand why we've eliminated the coordination.
We have eliminated because the Department of Education does not see it's a proper place for a coordinating of nursing to be certified and held under the Department of Education. I had hoped that the Board of Nursing would accept the responsibility, but they do not. I have talked to HHS because a lot of the school nurses contacted HHS, and that department had webinars dealing with some of the issues that the school nurses had. But the HHS doesn't want to have this responsibility either. So I have talked to some people, and it seems that the school nurses belong to the School Nurses Association. And as a professional organization, they should take on the responsibility to be sure that the people in the field have access to help, to further education, to webinars, to helping them with issues that arise in the field. And that's why that position is eliminated. The DOE was pretty adamant about that, did not want that position in DOE.
Yeah. Senator, this is, but can I try something here? That we have a member of our body who is on the Senate Finance Committee. If we're eliminating that position and relying on the association, could the department have an allocation of some dollar amount so that they might employ consultants to work with school nurses to provide some guidance when the field feels that there's some shifting ground and guidance would be valuable? There is still an allocation in the department for this position.
Could you hold that for a second, Senator Prentice? Do you need to go?
No, I just went
Oh, I
back.
see.
I want to
Okay,
comment on
fine.
Sen-
I'm
When Senator Khan is
sorry.
done, I want to follow up. Sorry. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I can be done. I think.
No, go ahead, Senator Khan. I thought Senator Prentice had to leave for her.
I was just getting my hand up. Sorry.
Okay,
I think if the money's there, the position's there, and we're about to eliminate the charge for the position, can we at least leave, amend what those dollars are in the department's budget so that there is some consultancy money available for school nurses to be able to access for either professional development or further guidance for the field.
So you're still talking about a position in the Department of Education?
No, not so much a position, a dollar amount, so that through the department, a consultant or a couple of consultants, but just that some kind of advisory role could be accessed through a pool of dollars by the association working with the department.
Okay. Where do you see this position being held?
I don't see a position. I see the position going away because I guess I want to see if we're eliminating the statutory requirement for the position,
Mhm.
then we have an allocation probably in the continuation of the department's budget that funds the position. The funding obviously ought to line up with whatever the decision of this committee is. And I guess I'm asking, will this committee be supportive, and our members, in particular, one member who actually could introduce this amendment, so that we amend in HB 1 the Department of Education's budget to take out this position that there's no longer a charge for, but leave some money for consultancies, which would be a different allocation for the department, so that the professional association and school nurses could access some consultants during the year for continuing education, training, and in the event that they need rules to be adjusted, that there's somebody there who can play that role between the association and the department.
Okay, now Senator Prentice.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Thank you, Chairwoman Ward. So it is, I appreciate Senator Khan bringing this up. In my time in state government, working, with the pre-hospital folk providers who work very closely with the schools, one of the best relationships that we had that had significant impact was with the school nurse consultant, who is now retired, but anyone I talked to remembers her, Catherine Rainey, because she had such a significant role. So an example would be, this is highly valuable for the school nurses. This was at a time when we were doing things like putting defibrillators in schools. Schools wanted defibrillators, but there's a relationship between the pre-hospital part of this and the school nurses who wanted to be trained in them and have protocols for them that didn't routinely work with them. That's where that translation was incredibly valuable. When epinephrine pens were made more widely available for anaphylactic reactions in schools, EMTs were using them and paramedics all the time. Not all the school nurses were. And Catherine Rainey was the person I went to. And when I even think about H1N1, I went to her on a regular basis and said, okay, we're working on this. We want to get the school nurses involved. Or the school nurses had an issue and they would call me. I would call Catherine Rainey. She was so valuable in that translation and making sure that the school nurses had the consultative need, that those needs filled. This is a role that it's a role that we have to have for the school nurses. And if there's a way to put it in the budget, I even think she was part-time, but she pretty much worked full-time because so much was happening. But if you talk to most school nurses, they depended and they valued that translation, and it made things between departments, state departments, work so well in helping the schools on the healthcare side, especially emergency. So I just wanted to raise my hand and say, I've worked with the school nurse consultant. It was incredibly valuable. I can give multiple examples. That's that. Okay.
Great. Before I go to Senator Hennessy, where was she housed What, under
He
what
was a
department?
consultant to DOE.
A consultant to DOE?
She was in the Department of Education. That's,
Okay,
I could probably look up her old email address and I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
and I'm just curious where she was.
She was a
Senator
DOE.
Hennessy, do you want to discuss the fiscal implication?
I don't know what it is. I sent off an email to find out if the position actually is currently funded.
No, well, it was funded last time around. And then COVID-19 happened and they never hired anybody. And when I talked to the Department of Education, they really don't feel that that they should have a consultant or a coordinator for the school nurses in the Department of Education because they feel they are dealing with something totally different.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if it's currently funded in the House version of HB1.
Okay,
But there's also, to Senator Prentice's point, the consultant idea, the department is getting millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and the state is getting hundreds of millions of dollars for education. So there may be another avenue for a consultant type of position, especially to help with pandemic related issues that the school nurses are still facing. If this is not something that the state wants to set up a permanent position for. But
I was thinking maybe at Dartmouth Hospital, Dartmouth Hitchcock. They do so many things, and maybe one of their departments could have this kind of a position to help school nurses. Senator Prentice.
Thank you, Senator Ward. So school nursing, and we've been talking about this for a couple, well, not a couple of months, but a few weeks. It's different. The role of a school nurse is different than the role of, say, an emergency department nurse or a nurse that works in a doctor's office. They have training that's very similar, but they have this specialty and a specialty within working in our schools. And it's why, I believe this should be in the Department of Education. I mean, they can, having that person there doesn't stop them from consulting with health, consulting with public safety or whoever they need. But their role is different in in dealing with the healthcare needs and emergencies within the educational setting. And that, I can't stress enough how valuable that is. So I think, so this was a position that was there and then it didn't get funded because of the pandemic. Was this a matter of a way? I think there was a way it probably could have been done and has maybe slipped away, but I can't express again how valuable this is. I just wanted to provide that one little piece that, again, you're Senator Ward, you're a nurse, like there's a specialty area. School nurses have their specialty area.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So that's all. I'm done.
Senator Hennessy.
I just want to clarify, I believe it was funded in our current budget that we're in. It just was never filled. And there's many reasons why that could have happened. But so I'm trying to figure out if it's funded in the current budget that we're working on for the next 2 fiscal years. But I agree with everything you just said, Senator Prentice.
So any more discussion on where to go from here?
One option, and so the way that RSA 200:29 is set up, the first 3 paragraphs deal with the superintendent may nominate and appoint a school nurse to the function. The second paragraph is that if he does fill the function, here are the qualifications. The third paragraph is that the Board of Education will adopt rules for school nurses. And then the fourth paragraph is definitely what what your amendment, Senator Ward, what your amendment is really replacing is section 4.
Right.
So it seems, one option, I don't think we want to add an FN onto this, But one option is to, in the amendment, say that 200:29, section 4, Roman numeral 4 is deleted.
No, that's the one we have changed to have the school nurses not being certified by the Department of Education and not having to go for the baccalaureate degree unless if they were employed before a certain date.
Yeah,
That's section 4.
right.
I was thinking, are you thinking about repealing the RSA 21-N:6 that deals with the school nurse coordinator?
No. No, I'm getting confused, I think. I'm confusing you and I'm confusing myself. Sorry. What sections are we repealing then of this? We're repealing the whole act?
We're repealing the school nurse, that first part of it.
Yeah,
The school nurses do not have to be certified by the Department of Education. But we're maintaining the requirements that we instituted last time around, that school nurses should be able to work on the baccalaureate degree. But a lot of school nurses have been in school nursing for a long time, and they are not about to go back to school, because I have heard this so many times. I know everything I need to know. Don't put me there. So that's where we went back, is that anybody employed before August 25, because that's in statute, doesn't have to, they are not required to go for the baccalaureate program. But anybody employed after will have to have that in mind, that yes, you can get a job, but you're also expected to enroll in either diploma nurse, AD nurse, in the baccalaureate nursing program. So that stays in there for the school nurses.
so
The original bill also wanted to repeal the school nurse coordinator's position in the Department of Education.
and that's not being touched at all here.
That is being repealed, and that's what you're arguing now, that you want that to stay there. And Senator Prentice said that position was in the Department of Education before, and it's no longer there.
But that's
That's not in 229. That's in 21.
and so we're not touching that at all.
We're repealing it.
We're repealing 29. We're not repealing.
No. We're repealing 21 dash
And
capital N:6.
and 6A on the bottom there. And so that, I guess I am questioning that. And I guess I'm questioning. I see. I see. I'm following you now. So yes, I'm questioning the second paragraph, I guess.
Senator Prentice?
So here's my understanding. This position was funded, but it was vacant. And when there was a hiring freeze with COVID-19, that was one of the positions that was frozen. And then this question came up about who should be, where it should actually land. So
Right.
it is a position that currently exists and has been funded. It was just frozen, but the freeze is off, if I understand. At least some
know.
positions are being filled. Okay, I just wanted to
But
get back to
Department of
that.
Education doesn't feel that that position belongs in the Department of Education, because they're not necessarily teaching. They are advising, helping out, you know?
Yeah.
Just telling you what I've heard.
Oh, I
from
know.
them.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just, sorry. I'll, thank you, Senator Ward. We're good.
No, we're not, because we haven't decided
I
on
know,
it yet.
we're not good because we haven't fixed this yet. You know, I think
Right.
you and I are on the same page. In large part, this is, the experience has been that school nurses need the leadership from school, someone in education who has been a school nurse who can provide that type of consultation, leadership, policy working and liaisoning between the departments, not health and human services. Respectfully, I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying
Right.
that's where it's been. It's worked well. And I think if you talk to most school nurses who have worked with this position, that's what they'll say. So I think we have to tell the Department of Education that this is going to stay there. That's how.
Okay. Then I have another question. If you have other groups of nurses, where do they go? They don't call up the Department of Education. They go to their colleagues, they go to their leadership to ask for help or elucidation of particular problems. So my question really is, where should this person be?
Well,
Yes, go ahead.
so I guess I'll answer a question with a question. Where should this person be? But maybe I won't answer with a question. I will. Do we need the role or not? And do we need the role within state government or not? Really becomes the where I think that's the intersection at where we're at.
Mhm.
So the Board of Nursing, we know licenses nurses, but when we get into schools and the needs of nurses, that's been under the Department of Education. And I think that's been valuable for the nurses and the children that are in those schools and as a liaison to all those different departments. So if we eliminate this, then maybe some association will start and they'll all start to work together. And then the state will want to work with that group because they'll have a role in it.
Mhm.
And plus they'll be implementing policies and protocols that are coming out of state government all of the time, whether it's from emergency medical services, health and human services, or it's on the Department of Education side. So if it's a question about whether we need this role in government and it's a consultation role that's been previously filled and is budgeted for, I don't see why we wouldn't do it. I think it's good for the children. My daughter was she was on a first name basis with every school nurse, but they are incredible. And
Oh, yeah.
that's all.
I'm not denigrating school nurses. They have
Oh,
an
no, I don't
incredible
think you
job.
are.
And they
Yeah.
have an incredible specialty, and I would not want to go and work in a school with my experience in nursing because it's in a totally different field.
Right.
So,
I don't know how to
Senator
solve
Khan, you
this.
look like you're ready for something.
Well, at least to express in a sentence what it is that I think would address Senator Prentice's concern that on line 2 that we repeal, leave the wording there about repeal, but it say the department shall work with the New Hampshire School Nurse Association to retain consultancies for continuing education and assisting in rules development. We would need some follow through in the budget to realign the dollars that are in the budget to the consultancies line, but I think it leaves some money there to help the profession. Because the guidance, unlike special education or reading or curriculum development, the department has the consultancies within the department's expertise. The department's made clear they're not going to employ the expertise of a school nurse. So if it makes sense that, okay, then at least assist by being the contracting entity for a consultant that can provide advice to the field.
I can see your point of having somebody there, but I don't think that the Department of Education should be in a position to regulate curriculum for the school nurses or what they do, or the, setting up the rules. It seems to me that that is in the profession of nursing, of school nursing. If you really want to, I'll be happy to go back to the DOE and talk to them about this. But last time they were said, that absolutely we have no business dealing with nurses. We don't credential them, we don't oversee them. They're a different profession, and that position should be somewhere else, not in the Department of Education.
I feel your dilemma. But I also feel the dilemma of the profession, and I bet you do as well, that they're not well coordinated simply with an association that without resources to engage professional consultancies.
Well, there must be a school nurses association, and I'll be happy to try to find how they are. And they may have more resources than you know.
They might.
A lot of professional organizations have all kinds of money set aside for certain things. But I'll be happy to look into that and talk to the DOE as well. Senator Prentice?
Thank you, Senator Ward. And I'd be happy to partner with you in any way, in any conversations with DOE to see what, where we can get to restore this either as is or into a new role. I just think it's really important.
Okay. So
How do we deal with the repeal language then?
Yeah, we can't.
Because to simply repeal will leave the dollars in the Department of Education without the position.
mhm.
And
Well,
they'll have a free position to for a nanosecond.
So you're okay with the amendment until section 2,
Yes,
and that's the one we have to work on. We can wait another week and take up this bill next Tuesday.
I'm fine with that.
Senator Prentice?
I appreciate all the work you've done on this, Senator Ward. I think it's so important to get it right. And I think in large part, we're all on the same page. It's just how to do this.
Right.
And if we can. And I just, on a very personal note, I wanted to share with everybody that one of my oldest friends she passed away years ago. I used to be on a rescue squad with her up in Vermont. Her name was Carol Kessler. And she went from being an emergency room nurse to being a school nurse because her kids were in the schools, and she had to learn, and she would impart on me all of the time how different it was and what an important role it was.
Yep.
Taught me a lot about, I used to watch her kids too, Joshua and Sarah, and they're all grown up now. Carol passed away, but I never forgot that transition and the difference. And so that's with me as well as besides Catherine Rainey, as I move forward in this conversation. I wanted to honor Carol. Thank you.
It's the difference between working in a hospital and working in a clinic. So, okay. So are we all in agreement to hold this off for a week? Senator Hennessy?
I just want to be clear on what everyone's working on. I'm just looking at the original language of the bill.
I've got the original out.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you see the original one?
Yeah,
Okay,
I see it.
Mhm.
okay.
So Senator Ward, you and Senator Khan are going to work on the amendment to this?
Senator Prentice, I thought we'll
Okay.
we'll work together.
Okay.
I will find School Nurses Association and find out what they're all about. I'll talk to the DOE again, and I'll mention Catherine Rainey.
Catherine Rainey would be the New
Okay.
Hampshire person.
Okay,
And
they may, how long was she there?
I've got a couple contacts I'll share with you.
Okay,
I was at Department of Safety for about 10 years and worked with Catherine probably that entire time. But I left safety in 2010.
okay. So I don't know what they have had in the Department of Education, since this was sort of a new position that the school nurse coordinator, so. Okay. Do we have to vote to hold it off to next week?
We do not. We just need to withdraw the ought to pass motion.
Okay,
I will.
and the second,
I think it was me. I will.
okay. We'll withdraw the ought to pass motion, and we will work and get this straightened out. Hopefully, we'll have it all taken care of by next Tuesday. Senator Prentice?
Senator Ward, I'm going to say that I'm glad we'll see each other next Tuesday because I would have missed you all. So this will keep us all together for one more session.
One more session, okay.
Okay.
So I guess our business for the day is done, and I need a motion to get out of executive session. Senator Hennessy and Senator Prentice. Okay, Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Shardy,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. We're out of executive session. A motion to adjourn, Senator Prentice, Senator Shardy, Senator Hennessy,
Yes.
Senator Khan,
Yes.
Senator Prentice,
Yes.
Senator Shardy,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So we are adjourned. And we'll see each other for one bill next Tuesday.
Very
Do you
good.
want to set it later, like 10 o'clock or something?
I like the early.
Do you like early? Okay, then we are done for the day, right? Okay, 9 o'clock next